So Bitcoin's hash rate, it is recovering. And we had an article overnight by Elisa Gritsky that talked about how the major mining pools have nearly recovered as Kazakhstan's internet is partially restored. Now, if you don't know what the hash rate is the measure of computational power that is securing the Bitcoin network. And a good chunk of that migrated from China over to Kazakhstan over the past few months. And if you've seen in the news, there's been a whole bunch of civil unrest in Kazakhstan, and they actually shut the internet down, which is really not a great thing if you're a miner, because you have to use the internet in order to connect to the blockchain. And so we lost a whole chunk of mining hash power. Now, the interesting thing to understand here is that, yes, we lost about somewhere between 12 and 18%, but the blockchain just kept going. The Bitcoin network was still super, super secure. It wasn't a major blip. In fact, the difficulty, which is adjusted every 2 weeks for miners, depending on how hard it is to find the next block, it gets adjusted every 2 weeks. If it's too easy to find a block, if there's not enough power, computational power, they make it harder to find the next block. And if there's lots, they make it easier, or the other way around. At any rate, it adjusted upward again, which means that really things have been moving along quite nicely. And the hash rate is back up to a pretty high level, certainly higher than it was when we lost a lot of the Chinese mining power a year ago. So you can see that level just steadily climbing up and up and up. And it was unfazed by losing the amount of hash power that was held in Kazakhstan. Most of that is back now. And miners are reporting that they're back online and the territory is no longer being impacted. So I guess, Naomi, I'm thinking you probably have something to say about the resiliency of Bitcoin in a situation like this.
I mean, it's very interesting. I actually got some questions from interviewers when all this happened, and they were worried. They were like, oh, I've heard that it's somewhat centralized and now it's kind of been shut down. Has Bitcoin been shut down? And you have to explain, exactly what you just explained, Christy, that actually these things adjust, and that's the wonderful beauty of Bitcoin and its design. And so it's very interesting to see this. I would say that the most illuminating part of all of this is actually how fragile our internet is and how much we rely on it. Because honestly, I mean, it's a little scary when you have the number 2 Bitcoin mining location in the world have their internet just shut off. It's like, well, can the US just shut off our internet? Can the US just start filtering packages and packets and filtering out, like banning Bitcoin mining if they decided they didn't like it? Like it raises a lot of questions about how undecentralized, how centralized our internet is. And so I think that's definitely something people are working on at the moment, but we have a long way to go. The people were saying about Kazakhstan that it's hard to know how long the internet will continue to operate. It's been restored several times over the past days, but these moments are brief, they're unpredictable. And so it's like, I mean, it is dangerous when countries have control of the internet. I know the internet gets shut off in India all the time. Every time there's civil unrest, I have some friends there who are just like, every time there's a protest, they just shut it off. Countries do that. We're lucky in the United States that that's not something that happens, but it is something that the government has the capacity to do. So it's something to keep in mind when we're building all this technology that's based on the internet. And I think that, we just really need to speed up our progress towards finding a way to decentralize this. I know that there are lots of interesting things going on. I mean, even Elon Musk with Starlink is figuring out different systems where you don't have to rely on underground cables that could be controlled by governments. They don't have base stations in any jurisdiction that you're relying on. They're kind of spread out so you don't rely on any particular base station for internet coverage in certain jurisdictions. Like that sort of redundancy is interesting. You've got Blockstream with their satellite, creating redundancy as well in the system. Like lots of interesting experiments, but we still have a long way to go there. But Jen, I'll throw to you for your thoughts.
We are just on the same wavelength lately, because that's exactly what I wanted to touch on. They talk about in the article this centralized kill switch. So, in Kazakhstan, they were able to turn the internet off, and we talk about these decentralized platforms that are offering all of these amazing products that are really allowing anyone to access these financial solutions that they couldn't before. But we have this centralized control if governments can turn off the internet. And I don't think we talk about it enough. We talk about it on this show sometimes, but I don't think we talk about it enough. And I really think that we need to catch up when it comes to decentralized internet. But I will, Naomi, back up to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I mean, in the blockchain space in particular, there are interesting experiments. Like I've been diving into helium more lately, just figuring that out, just because there's a brewery right near me that actually is running a helium node. We went to, there was Dash Fest about a month ago, and I was like, there's a giant antenna on the top of their brewery, and they're a place that's very crypto welcoming. They accept all kinds of cryptocurrencies. They love it. They're big evangelists, been in the space for forever. That's Ebenezer Brewery. So yeah, check them out if you're in New Hampshire. But they were running this node, so I talked to them about it, and I realized that actually this connects all the way down to Nashua. Like this is a way to create redundancy in the internet if internet service providers cut off contact for certain areas. It's just interesting to see these networks start to get built out. But again, we have a long way to go.